Hi folks, I hope you're well. So this video, just sitting here thinking for a second, which is quite dangerous at times, and just realised something that's very important. At no point in time have I ever gone to a church so I can slug it off. Because I have sleep apnea, it means that normally, every morning, speaking, I wake up, have breakfast, then I need to go back to bed for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, in order to top up on the sleep I missed during the night time by waking up all the time every time I roll over, because I stop breathing. On Sundays, waking up, having breakfast, and having to have a load of coffee so that I can actually attend the service and not be yawning through the whole thing is not an easy thing to do. And just have a look through my channel. You'll see that most of the videos I do, I might get 15 views if I do a video that's slagging off a church. If I really did a video slagging off a church, I would get maybe 15 to 20 views. It's not worth me getting up early in the morning. I only talk about issues in the church because those things concern me. Because I look at those things and I see this is why the church is in a mess. I see these people. I see Archie, Jude, and all these other people in this church, and okay, they're doing what they're doing. Now, again, some of them, let's be real, some of them, they do that. They do the worship leading. They do what Matthew does, do the worship leading and the speaking, because they get the pats on the back. Right? Some of them do it for that reason. Others do it because they actually want to share God with people. They want to share their passion of God. They want to do all of that. Okay. Right. Yeah. Now, which ones they are in that church, I don't know. Some are going to be one type, some are going to be the other. It doesn't matter. The reality is that I don't go there in order to find stuff that isn't good so that I can talk about it. If I wanted to do that, I would have kept going to the community church of Rick and seeing that Rick really never gave a crap about people. I would have seen that. I could have spoke about that. I could have spoke about the fact how nobody really wanted to discuss God in there, because that's true. And so therefore I could have just spoken about that all the time if I just wanted to slag off a church. But yeah, there's no point. I could have kept going to the African church, to the Nigerian church, or but no. When a place gets to a point where I realise that I cannot represent this church, or I could not suggest this church to someone, I stop going. And I don't stop going because I've exhausted all the talking shit about that church that I could do. Because obviously if I stayed longer, come on. These places, they don't suddenly get better when I leave it, do they? They were as bad before I went there. They're going to be as bad once I leave. So there's going to be plenty of material to talk about if I stayed there, right? No desire. No desire at all. Once I get to, with the vineyard, the last couple of days, I've been getting to that point of realising, I'm going to have to walk away from this church. I'm seeing things now that are just blinking obvious that I cannot, keep on going now, pretending that everything's good, because it isn't. It's not in any way, shape or form good. They think it's good, and there's the problem. If I stayed there, I'd either have to, reveal how absolutely bloody awful it truly is, or keep quiet and pretend it's good. And I can't do the second. And there was no platform to do the first. So therefore, you have to go. You have to walk away, and that's okay. But I'll say for me, I talk about it because I give a crap. Because I see this, and at some point in time, I'm hoping that someone, either from these churches or from somewhere else, sees that and says, okay, let's look at whether or not what's being said is true. First of all, because that's the most important point. Is what's being said true? Right, first of all, deal with that. If it's not true, then okay, you ask God, what do you need to do about this? Yeah, if someone's saying things about you that aren't true, you do that. And yeah, can we help this person? Can we speak truth to this person about our situation that can help them? Yeah, you do that. If it's true, then okay, why do you want to speak to the person about what they're doing? Yeah, why do you want to stop them saying things that are true? Truth is supposed to be spoken, especially truth that is being hidden, that is supposed to be spoken. You look at when Paul's talking about the church, the early church there, he's speaking about the issues that they're going through. And he's mentioning names. Right? He is. Now, again, is he right or wrong? Yeah. But does it matter? No. As I say, with regards to that church and other churches, the people I spoke about, generally speaking, they particularly couldn't give a crap. They wouldn't particularly want me being in the church, knowing that I would speak about the things they're doing, that they hopefully will get away with, and I'm speaking about it, so I'm uncovering what they're trying to keep hidden. Well, okay, yep, yeah. They won't be happy for me being in the church if that's the case. Yep, got it. We understand that that's the case. But generally speaking, they don't care, because they would just say, well, it isn't true, is it? But again, for the pastor, for Archie and his wife, and Richard, who is another person, Archie and Richard wanted to speak to me. Okay. So one question I'd have for them: have you gone back through both what I've said and what was said in the services, and seen whether what I said was true or not? I think the answer is probably no. I think they've simply gone with what I've said. They haven't checked with what was said in the services, because they do have the audios of the services. So, yeah, if you look up the Vineyard Church Elgin on their website, they should have the audios of the services, so you can go and check as to whether what I said was accurate or not. They should have done that. They should have done that. Because if I'm saying, oh, Archie said so-and-so, and Matthew said so-and-so, right? And Matthew's wife said so-and-so, you can go and check that, so can they. They can check whether those things were said, done, and then they can go to God about it and see whether or not, that stuff was wrong that was said. Because to be totally honest, would they know? Not really. Because if they knew, they should have highlighted that stuff, shouldn't they, themselves? If Richard knows that what Archie said was wrong, Richard should have gone to Archie about that. Should have. Did he? No. Did either of them go to Matthew about what Matthew said? No. Because they won't. Because they don't care enough about it. And I'm comfortable saying they don't care enough, because if they did, they would have gone and they would have spoken about it, and they would have highlighted in the next service that in the last service things were said that weren't true. they would have made sure that the people in that church would have known. Because again, if you want accountability in church, you have to be accountable, right? If they cared enough, they would have looked and they would have been accountable for that. But they weren't. They weren't. And so therefore, I know that at least I care enough to talk about it. And I know that people are not going to like me because of it, but that's okay. I don't do it for likes.